Alright, so I forgot to put gain on in the last video, and I'm just too lazy to do it mid-video. But this one should be a lot more clear. Not that it really matters. I was covering an Under the Mayo video. Under the Mayo, of course, the problem with Under the Mayo is, like I said, he's like H-Bomber guy, where he legitimately fucking ruins every fucking thing that he makes. Because, like, most of that video I covered was good, and then the last, like, couple of minutes, I had to fucking dog the shit out of him because of how dumb he fucking was about his points. And that's Under the Mayo and also H-Bomber guy and a lot of other, like, bread tube kind of guys in a nutshell. I don't think Under the Mayo is a bread tuber. I think he's kind of, like, anti-woke, but not really, like, doing it as a grift kind of thing. So, like, you know, he's not a bread tuber, obviously, but still. He has a lot of the same problems as bread tubers, where legitimately a lot of bread tuber video essays are fucking bangers until you get to their commie simping. If you don't believe me, just erase all of the commie simping from Harris's videos. They will legitimately be god tier, but only because he's no longer simping for far left shit that only like 5% of the population will agree with. Anyway, we're talking about it's not just wokeness, the truth about entertainment. I'm going to be honest. I said it in the other video. The biggest problem is honestly the size of the industry is in the budgets we have are too fucking massive. Like the reason why people hate the word modern audience is because they have to dumb it down for a younger generation, right? The reason they have to do that is because the older generation is too small to make money with their budget, right? So they have to appeal to younger people. But younger people, when they want something gay, they want it gay as fuck. Like, they want them dudes smooching them. They want that fucking cake pack. They want it all. So the thing is, the older generation is kind of fine with, like, less hot people. The younger generation wants their people smoking hot and gay as fuck. So how do we remedy with that? Well, we have the more, like, conservatively dressed, in a normal woman, but then she's also gay. But she's not gay as fuck, she's just gay. Like, she's gay. She says it like once in the game as like a one-off, and that's it. Yeah, that pleases nobody. As they say, a game made for everyone is a game made for no one, right? And that's legitimately the problem with that, right? Like, legitimately, the problem is that it's a game made for everyone instead of just having a core audience or a smaller fucking budget. Like, legitimately, they need, like, this game legitimately would still succeed if it had the budget Assassin's Creed did in 2010 when it came out, right? And the reason I know that is because the only reason this game might even fucking fail is because of how fucking much it... Like, when you know the budget of this fucking piece of shit, you'll, like, squee and, like, fucking, like, holy shit, this is wasting money. Like, amounts of money. That's how fucking much this piece of shit cost to make. And this thing isn't cheap either. This thing made a bit of money, primarily because Amazon is just way better at advertising, and the show is also, you know, good. Also, it's out, you know, and it's a show, so, like, it's episodic, so... people don't watch it all at once. Like, there's a lot of reasons why this made more money than this probably will. But yeah, like, this is still also kind of a high budget thing than it should have. This one's at least, like, uses the budget it will, though. The other thing is, like, this does only really uses the budget for, like, graphics and acting. Which is also pretty shitty. You should also, I don't know, use it for, like, better gameplay mechanics and stuff. I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest. Most good graphics games don't make money from themselves, right? Because it costs so fucking much to make. They have to do outside marketing through, like, either merch sales or some shit to make their money back. Like, a good example of this is Horizon, like, the Horizon series. Horizon isn't even, like a great game. It's, like, a kind of okay, good, kind of mid-ish game. But it's made way more money than a lot of other studios. And how has it made money? Well, look at what it's done. It's had crossovers with Genshin Impact and Fortnite, two of the hottest games there are. And other like cool things it's done, like has like a Lego spin-off as well. A Lego Fortnite spin-off, in fact, as well. Like, so two Lego spin-offs, one is its own game, and another like a DLC for Fortnite. So like it's got Funko Pop, it's got that all that merch. That's why Horizon Forbidden West is continuing to make way more money than a lot of other AAAs in the West, because it's understanding, hey, this game might not have that many sales, but you know what does? Other games. Let's collab with them. So that's why Horizon is doing well, but these games are failing. Just so you know, Horizon is probably even woker than a lot of these games are. But Horizon knows, hey, if I play my cards right, I can have my cake and eat it too, and that's what it did. I'm gonna be honest, that was the smartest fucking decision. Well, like merging itself with games like Genshin Impact and Fortnite was a phenomenal business move by the people who make the Horizon games. Yeah, that is true, right? Like the thing about it really is it like you said, it's not just it never really was just woke. Wokeness really is like, first off, the word woke doesn't mean what people use it to say it anymore. Like honestly, I honestly call like people like as far woker than most of the games he criticizes, because wokeness, for those who don't know, refers to being aware of systems of government being used to oppress you. That's what DEI really is for gamers. I'm gonna be honest, that literally it. And the anti-woke crowd that's anti-DEI legitimately is woke, right? When I say anti-wokeness, I use it the way they mean it to refer to being like anti like communism and anti like anti-communism and anti um like what's the other shit? Oh yeah, anti-virtue signaling and anti tokenism, because that's really what most people who say it mean. They mean anti-tokenism, anti-virtue signaling, and anti communism, right? They don't like government authorities breaching their games with all this shit, and financing and all that. Like, legitimately, no one really wants that. Definitely, there's a smaller crowd who really doesn't like tokenism and virtue signaling, and that's like the main anti-woke sphere. But the thing is, when it comes to the anti-communism crowd, that's actually legit what wokeness is. So the anti-woke crowd, like the main one, is legit woke because they're talking about government systems that are being used to oppress them. That's what wokeness is, right? Like, wokeness means being aware of government systems used to oppress you, right? That's what that word actually means. I'm pretty sure he knows, because like the thing is, it originates from black vocabulary from like the 90s. That's what it was used to mean. Like when I grew up in the city, so that's how I know. Like that's what every black dude and every black chick used it to mean. It doesn't mean anything about like leftism or anything. It's saying, hey, the government's oppressing y'all. Still to this day, it's just using it in a like more like hidden way. It legitimately, it's basically like a more like tame way to say like Illuminati control and shit, kind of, y'all kind of thing. But yeah, and it's legitimately what the word woke is supposed to mean. And that like you like you originally only even referred to black people, as in it was like systems like police and like media being used to oppress black people, but by denying that they were oppressed. Um, it still is a thing today, right? Like it's still kind of fucked up that like a lot of that shit goes down. It's not as common as it used to be, but and it's mainly because like they're just oppressing everyone now and not just black people. It used to be like in the '60s, like it was just black people. Now it's like everyone's fucking oppressed by the government. Because like that's what happens, right? Like legitimately, it's not like it ever gets better with the government. It only ever gets worse. I mean, literally look at every bureaucracy. Like what happens when we increase the funding of education? Education doesn't improve. The teachers don't even really get paid more. But now we have to create this bureaucracy called the Bureau of Education with all these superintendents who pocket the money and then say they're going to give it to the schools and then don't. And because of that bureaucracy being there, that bureaucratic middleman, when we increase educational funding, what actually happens is we pay the superintendents who might pay the teachers, but never will ever increase the funding for the actual budget that matters, which is the food and because that actually is an important part of why education sucks. People aren't fucking able to eat in school. Legitimately, a lunch is actually fucking necessary. And the other thing that's more important than even lunch, is a lot of people don't have books and pencils even, so they have to buy their own. But some people can't afford that shit, right? So we're requiring them to go to school to get an education that they're not getting because they can't afford it. It's fucking disgusting how the government is run, right? It's another way to say it, right? You pay taxes on soda to make soda cheaper. Did you know that that's what your soda tax goes to? It goes to make the soda can cost less. You're paying more to make the product you're paying for cheaper. That's what corporatism is. It's basically socialism put on top of capitalism to make it the most inefficient fucking piece of dog shit you've ever seen. Like everything about corporatism is insane. Hopefully that static isn't coming in the video. Let me see if I can fix that a bit. I don't even think it really any of it is. Like some of it maybe, right? But honestly, like I said, a lot of things are failing because of like how high the budgets are, and like I said, like the reason why mobile gaming is so profitable is because it's short, sweet, and casual, and it makes a lot of money, and you don't need a big budget to do it. So it's like Genshin Impact has a massive budget, but most of those mobile games that are big don't have a big... Like, the biggest mobile game of all time is Candy Crush. Like, that's why everyone who hates mobile gaming brings it up, because everyone knows about it, because everyone fucking played it. It's got 500 million players. Name it... You can't. Every other game is smaller than it. The only game that competes with it is Call of Duty Mobile, which is also a mobile game, and it also has 500 million players. Every other game you've played is smaller than it, objectively. Like... Oh yeah, no, it does. Like, legitimately, it's not even left-wing politics that are bad. It's politics being used as a way to, as in putting politics before story is always bad, right? Like, a good way to say it, right? I hated Sound of Freedom for the exact same reasons I hated a lot of other movies that year, because they were all political propaganda, right? Now, the thing it was for was good, but I don't fucking care. Like, yeah, like, stopping pedophilia is good, but make a better fucking movie about it, right? Like, don't have the villain have his catchphrase be, hey, I'm a pedophile too, as if that's a fucking good one-liner. Like, never trust a pedophile. That's the fucking lamest shit ever. Like, you take that in any context, that fucking sounds like he's just admitted to fucking a kid. as if that's like a fucking own or a cool thing to say. It's not. That movie is fucking dog shit because of how like they try to be cool but don't understand what makes a good one-liner. Like you could have said anything better, right? Like a good way to say it, right? Like he's an American, right? And like the dude saying, "I trusted you," and he's a pedophile, right? So I would have just said, "Welcome to America," right? Or "Hey, I'm American. We cheat," right? Like these are cool, like one-liners you could have said. For the ones who don't know what "I'm an American, we cheat" comes from Far Cry Instincts 2. Probably one of the games you will never fucking play because it was like made on like the Wii. But it is actually very like cool as fuck. Like with the way it ends, it's like you fight this like Indian chief. Like this is like when you have the original protagonist from the first Far Cry, John Carver. So you fight this Indian chief and you like start beating the shit out of him. And then like after a bit, like you're like, hey, look, I don't need to see these superpowers. Like we're evenly matched with these superpowers. So guess what? And then you bring out your fucking guns again and you start shooting the shit out of him and still using your superpowers and you whoop his ass. And he's like, at the end of it, he's like, how the fuck? And he's like, see, this is one thing you don't understand about America. It's the reason we always win. We cheat. And he just blows his fucking brains out. Yeah, that's good, right? But like, there's so many ways they could have done that movie better, which is why I fucking hate it. Because it's not even like it's unsalvageable. It's that they don't understand anything about it, about like what's cool about this kind of movie that they're making, because they don't make movies. So this was like their first go. So for first go, it's not really that bad, right? But it's clearly a propaganda film, which is why it's their first go, is talking about a serious topic and not like, I don't know, like Art the Clown killing people like most fucking movies do, right? Like you start out with the less serious shit, and then once you make money and you're comfortable, you do the serious shit like Sound of Freedom. That's really what it comes down to. They should have done some dorky indie horror film first, and then like eventually moved on to that as a way to basically like hone their craft first, right? Because you have to make movies to make a good movie, right? You can't make a good movie the first try. You have to make those dipshit, corny home video movies that everyone junks on to make a good movie. It's like Eric July had to make some shitty comics to make ISOM. Like there are some he might not tell y'all guys. He had to make a bunch of shitty drawings to get the good ones that he uses in ISO. You know, he had to learn how to fix his mistakes. He had to learn to be okay with making mistakes. He had to learn all this shit to get to where he is now. And he's in a good place. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to make shit to know what, like, about making shit. Right? If you just try to go AAA the first round, it's never good. For those who want to know why firsthand that's bad, look at Mark Kern. 8 years and he can't even finish a fucking vertical slice of his game, right? And then Star Citizen is like 11 years in. It looks good, but also it looks like it doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. Like it's a good, whatever it is, Star Citizen looks good. I'm gonna be honest, like people called that a scam. I'm just gonna say this, they're just over it on their fucking heads. They have an identity crisis, but then again, so does Warframe, and Warframe's a good game, so hey, having an identity crisis isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just is a hindrance to like a good thing, right? As in, you can still make a very good thing and have an identity crisis. Although, to be fair, Warframe's plot is also so heavily on being on identity crisis, so it being an identity crisis of a game itself also works with it, because it's a thing that's core to the plot of the design. Also, another thing, Warframe is gay as fuck. Like they have all that non-binary pronoun shit. In the game as well. It's just they have a lot of sexy Warframe designs. The gameplay loop, once you get past the first few hours, is phenomenal. Basically, once you get past the mobile defense shit, the game is good. Capture and survival are pretty fun, obviously from the get go. Exterminate is okay. Disruption is very good. And then you get to the really good shit, right? The boss rushes, Profit Taker and shit. Or the exploiter orbs start to be really fun. The more story ending quests tend to be pretty good. It gets way better once you get to a certain point. I'll just say that. Well, yeah, that's another thing. Although, to be fair, I don't think Avengers 1 was really that good. I'm going to be honest. Avengers 1 really only was so peak because of what it set up. Just like Avengers 4 is only so good because of what it ended, right? Avengers 4 really should have been the end of the MCU. First off, it was called Endgame. Second off, it kills the guy who started it all, Tony Stark. Third off, Captain America leaves and Hulk is permanently injured, because, so we got 3 of the people completely out skis. Thor being an adventurer with the Guardians of the Galaxy also doesn't go anywhere in the fucking movies, which blows ass, I'm just going to be honest. But even if it did, it going nowhere wasn't really the big problem with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Thor 4. The real problem with Thor, is that that they could have ended it with that's a message of hope, right? And it would have been way better than what they did with Thor 4. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a good movie. It's just the Thor, they could have done away with all of that and it would have been a better movie. A better thing, right? If Thor drama wasn't part of that storyline, because it's brief in it, because obviously he's not really present in it, thank fucking God. Not that I don't like Chris Hemsworth, I love you, Chris Hemsworth, but when you're written obnoxious, you're still obnoxious. It doesn't matter if you are good. The character you are playing was a bit of a doofus in Thor 4, and it fucking annoyed the shit out of me. You're kind of a dork in all of the movies, but a dork and a doofus are two different things. A dork is corny and dumb, but in a cool and endearing way. You were not really endearing in the way you were corny and dumb in the 4th movie. You were a doofus, not a dork, and that's not good. Just gonna be honest. Dork, good. Doofus, not so good. But anyway, yeah. I don't know about this black pill shit. It's not really a black pill. The industry is failing because it's too much money. A good way to say it, right? Everyone was simping about Terrifier 3 beating Joker 2 in the box office. It factually didn't. You look at the numbers, it didn't. Terrifier 3 did better one night, and Joker 2 was already out at that point for a week. So it's kind of expected at that point that Joker 2 would have, fallen below where it was at that point. No, the reason why Joker 2 failed was because it cost more money. Terrifier 3 was on a budget of $2 million. Joker 3 made triple the money. It made more money domestically than Terrifier 3 did. And it made double that overseas, right? So it would have still made a lot of money if it costs anywhere near the budget. If it cost $10 million, it would have made a shitload of money still, right? It lost money because it cost too fucking damn much. I feel like people don't know. A lot of these movies just cost too fucking damn much. Why is Joker $200 fucking million? I want to know. Because Terrifier 3 has better effects and all that, right? And I honestly, I'm going to say it. Art the Clown's acting is a little better too. He might not talk, but he's very, very good at making those faces and dances. I'll be honest. Like Terrifier 3, that dude's acting is god tier. He might not do cost a lot of money, but David Howard Thornton is a fucking phenomenal actor. He also plays the Joker sometimes, so he does have speaking roles that are good too, not just the mean one and Terrifier, but he has speaking roles that are good too. But even when he's not talking, he's a good actor. That's how good of an actor he is. He can act more with his face and say more things with his face than most actors can do with their entire bodies. That is talent right there. Right? So we've got phenomenal talent. Both because he does do a good Joker voice and all that too. That's hard to do. And phenomenal like body acting, phenomenal face acting, all of that. Way better than anyone in Joker 2. Maybe singing, because, like Lady Gaga is a better singer, I'm pretty sure, than David Howard Thornton. But outside of singing, why is the movie so fucking expensive? It can't be the effects, because nothing really happens in that movie that should cost this damn much. You know what I mean? Like, Terrifier 3 is way more effecty. Like, Joker 2 is like a couple drops of blood here and there in a filter. Look at Terrifier 3. It's a lot more than a filter. I'm going to be honest, the real problem is everyone's talking about politics all day instead of shit they enjoy. I'm going to be honest, I feel like what really this should be a wake-up call is that, like, bitching about shit makes you, like, mentally ill and bored all the time. And, like, not liking shit. And it's not healthy. Like, it's okay to bitch every now and then, but, like, people have been bitching nonstop, 9,001 videos a day, on 9,001 different channels, all fucking day, nonstop, over shit that everyone knows is going to fail anyway, as, like, an attempt to own, like, Kotaku, and, like, IGN. Game magazines that I have not really seen a single person talk favorably about in my lifetime, right? Like, Kotaku was always known as, well, before it was Kotaku, it was known as Gawker, right? And Gawker was always known as the shit stirrer that always nerd baited, right? There was a term Total Biscuit used for them. And IGN, we all know the joke with them. You can't spell ignorant without them, right? Like, you can't convince me that they were respected. Now, GameSpot, their fall from grace sucked, right? But GameSpot and like the GameStop magazine and all that, those were the things gamers respected a little bit. Nintendo Power, right? Nobody respected IGN or Kotaku ever, right? Like, you might see some people like look at IGN favorably because they have such a surface level of them. Like, it's literally like, hey, these are the guys that do the Game Awards, like, streams. Because that's what a lot of people know them for. Like, just, they stream the Game Awards, and they're a little easier to fucking find than the Game Awards actual channel for fucking whatever reason. That's legitimately what I use IGN for. They're easier to do, like, certain things from other people. I feel like Twitter is really the problem, honestly. Now I'm like thinking about it. Like, you are right, but I feel like Twitter is the issue here. Like, if you, like, a good way to say it, right? You stop taking Twitter seriously, your brain cells, you can feel them recover. Like, you can still use Twitter, you just can't take it seriously, anything on there. And your brain cells, you will immediately feel them start to respawn, like, boop, boop. They'll just start to pop back in your head, right? You are, like, literally Twitter itself isn't bad, right? But taking Twitter seriously fucking makes you dumb. Do not think anything on there is legitimate. Everyone on there is a troll, and when you think that, you will be fucking happy. That's how I do it. Like, everyone's like, oh, you're always like... I legitimately just fucking have a laugh all day on there, and then fap to porn and shit. That's all I do on Twitter in Blue Sky. And that's why I'm fucking like the way I am. Like, everyone's like, ugh. I'm having fun, motherfucker. What are you doing? Like, you might not like what I say, but I'm enjoying my time on there. You might not be. That's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm not taking this shit site seriously. This site was made so that people could take a shit and fap to porn and look at memes. That's why it's called a shit post, because you made it from the toilet. It's a literal shitpost site. Anyone who thinks that that site should be like the fucking center of is retarded, because that's what most people still to this day use it for. We're on the shitter looking at memes and shit and then like joking about and fapping to porn. That's what we do. That's what normal men do with Twitter. No one takes that shit seriously. Well, actually, we might take the shit seriously. We just won't take the shit on the site seriously. But anyway, that's the thing, right? Like, it's literally you use it on the toilet. Like, I use it more than on the toilet, but still, like, legitimately, it's just for fun and games. I don't treat it as a serious site for discussion. Like, you bitch about crumbs all day on it. Yeah, because it's fun to fucking bitch about crumbs. Like, yeah, he's a fucking morbidly obese scam artist, you know, like you may be like, but Eric July's friend, I don't fucking care who Eric July's friends with. His comic is out. Grums' game isn't. I don't have to pretend that Eric July is the same person as Grums, because I'm not fucking mentally ill and think, just because they're friends or whatever means they're the exact same fucking person. Like, no, I'm not fucking... This is the funniest shit ever. People think I say certain things about that they disagree with, that I'm every single idea of that person that they also disagree with is me. And it's hilarious every single time. They'll be like, well, you people. And then I'm like, what are you talking about, you people? And then they show an IGN article. I'm like, dog, do you really fucking think I respect Kotaku and IGN? You fucking dumb dillweed. And I say that every fucking single time. It's hilarious that everyone still thinks I fucking agree with any of their shit on purpose. Like, I might agree with some shit and not know, obviously, because I don't fucking read them. How do I know what I agree with and disagree with them? I don't even know what they're fucking saying, right? But because of that, like, you saying I don't. If I agree with something they say, even on a surface level, it's because I legitimately think it's good or bad, and that's about it, right? Like that thing with like the fucking platformer that everyone, like Smashy T and everyone was shitting on. It looks good. Like, once you take it off like that initial video they make fun of, put it in the crocodile boss fight. It looks great. Like, the game looks fun. It just doesn't look fun in that 1 30-second video that they did. And even then, it doesn't look boring. It just looks like mid. And then, like, you'll see all the actual parts of the gameplay that aren't platforming based and actually combat focused. And it looks cool as fuck. And really what it comes down to is it's like a God of War style game. So they have a lot of platforming no one fucking likes in those games. As like a sort of like a rest point, I should say. Although it's the most obnoxious and annoying parts of all of those games. So it's really not a fucking rest point. They need to fucking stop with that shit. Acting like that's a rest point just because you're not fighting enemies. Like, the fighting enemies is the rest point because that's where I'm having fucking fun. But anyway, yeah, like it's the most boring part of any God of War or Devil May Cry game. But like that's the genre it is. And so when you're actually fighting, it looks good. But when you're not fighting, it looks boring, right? Because it's a game where you're supposed to be fighting, right? And these are like rest points from the combat that you have to do as like a boring, bland shit that you really shouldn't have to do. It should be combat point, yep. And then when you finish the combat, the rest point is like, hey, you can kind of like wait till you go to the next combat arena. That should be the actual resting. But they don't do it that way. They have this bullshit platforming that you have to do. It sucks. But every God of War and Devil May Cry game has that shit too. And everyone knows what I'm saying when we all hate that. Yeah, it was more fun in a simpler time. Imagine that. Like, people were a lot happier because they weren't like in everyone's business 24/7, thinking everyone was serious. Because remember, the internet is still based on 4chan. 4chan is the rules of the internet, right? That's where they come from. So when you talk about Rule 34, Rule 63, all that, it comes from 4chan. And the first two rules of the internet, for those who are wondering, are do not talk about /b/ and do not talk about /b/. And the reason for that, one is also obviously a Fight Club reference, but also it's because the shit that goes on /b/ is objectively fucking cringe and awful, and you should never fucking talk about what goes on there. It'll be either the most base shit or the most offensive shit or the most whatever it is, it will not be something you can just blurt out anywhere, right? That's what the internet is based off of. That fucking site. So when you realize that a lot of the core internet culture is from 4chan, maybe some Newgrounds and Encyclopedia Dramatica, and that's all what's seeping into all these sites, regardless, because they're the ones who were here first. Well, now you realize why Twitter fucking sucks. Because now everyone is interacting with that crowd, and that crowd doesn't fucking care. And they will not care, and you cannot make them care. And if trying to make them care will only hurt you in the long run. And that's why 4chan is the leader of the internet. Not because, it's because they're trolls. What is the number one rule of the internet with trolls? Do not ever feed them. Because they get off to that. You think you're insulting a troll? You think you're making a point? You are not. You are giving them groceries because that's their currency, baby. You feed the trolls by paying them attention. So you've paid them attention for so long that now they begin to fester into your lives and boil into your brain spheres. That's why people are like fast blockers a lot now. They should have been a long time ago. I'm gonna be honest. Everyone should be a fast blocker who doesn't want to be like fucking 4chan harassed all the time. Because that's really what it comes down to. It's just old internet harassing new internet. And new internet doesn't understand because they're not actually like Gucci with the internet because they're not old internet. The old internet knows not to care about what the fuck old internet is saying. The new internet doesn't. And the old internet is still in there. And that's why it fucking like is the way it is. Because you're still using the old internet to be on the new internet. So you're on Twitter, you're still on fucking 4chan. Yeah, well, this is really the real problem. Everyone's on their cell phone all day talking about shit like it's important. None of that shit you're talking about is important. I'm gonna be honest. All this shit about games and stuff. Look, you know what happened last month, right? A homeless woman was set ablaze by a Guatemalan who should have never fucking been invited back into the country to do that in the first fucking place. Um, after an Italian man got simped over by everyone after killing a CEO and buying some hot coffee from a Starbucks and flirting with the barista and then like going to McDonald's in Pennsylvania for like a fucking cheap burger. Like you look at all of that about that story and like also with the homeless woman and then you combine that with like the Daniel Perry thing, right? New York City is fucked, right? It's really not that fucked. It's bad. It's not that bad though, right? But that's the thing, right? You look at all of that, you think, oh, god damn, this is a fucking hellscape. And then you actually like go in the city and you're like, there's a couple bad areas, but as long as you stay away from them, you're usually fine. And also, some people are crazy, but you learn to like fucking deal with it and you're fine. And that's really legit it. And like it'll be like, oh, but like a deli, like, and then you find out like that the deli doesn't even give a shit that the police aren't there because the police would fucking arrest him if he did that shit to his employee. So he's like, hey, I like the fact that I could just throw someone out the street if they act tough. Be like, yeah, fuck you, buddy, for trying to steal shit from my store. Get the fuck out of here. And he just throws that motherfucker like he's a fucking paperweight. It was fucking awesome seeing that shit. But that happens in New York all the fucking time. Part of it is because the cops don't do shit, so no one fucking trusts the police anyway. So the business owners here are like, okay, I gotta be tough and strong. So they are tough and strong, and they legit can just throw a fucking massive, like that dude, that black dude he threw out the store wasn't tiny. He was pretty big. And he just fucking flew. Because that dude was fucking jacked. Because that's how you are in New York. You gotta be to like kind of survive in it, yeah. It fucking sucks if you aren't, but if you live there, you get fucking jacked real quick if you're a store owner. This is how you fucking survive. You gotta have a bit of an attitude, and you gotta have a lot of muscle. You know you gotta know when to run your mouth and when to fucking punch someone in the fucking face. That's New York City. It fucking sucks, but it's not that bad, right? It's not a hell site. It's just like, hey, survival for the fittest, bitch. I'm stronger than you. Try to come up, rob me, motherfucker. See what happens. That's how New York City is. You gotta be, hard times created strong men, basically, is what it comes to with New York City. Like, the thing is, like, the homeless woman was from New Jersey, right? So it's like, I mean, also that homeless woman from New Jersey. New Jersey is so fucking bad, you can't afford to live there. So you go there one fucking day and you're homeless. New Jersey fucking sucks. Like, it is almost as expensive as New York fucking City, right? At least New York City, it kind of makes sense to lose your home, right? Because it's fucking, like, expensive. Also, everything is, like, everywhere anyway. Like, if you're a homeless person in New York City, you can at least, like, stay somewhere. Because there's somewhere to go everywhere in New York City. Like, there's malls. There's, like, mom and pop shops. There's, Targets. There's Walmarts. There's little fast food. You can legit just walk in and out of places everywhere in New York City all day, every day, and never have a place that's fully closed. That is the good thing. If you're homeless anywhere in America, New York City might be the best place to be. It's still bad, as we've seen with the homeless woman who was set on fire. But I'm just be honest. One homeless woman burning to death, very bad. But it beats hundreds of homeless people freezing to death in Ohio because a preacher was arrested for housing them. Like legitimately, he was housing homeless people, doing a legitimate Christian thing, um, at his literal church that he owned, but because of some bullshit, with like housing things or whatever, like he had to have a certain size house and amount of people living there who had their names on the property to house the amount of people. Legitimately, he was just keeping them off the fucking streets so they didn't die. And then they all died, right? Because he was arrested and they were all let out and they all died because it was the fucking coldest winter we've ever had. So they all froze to fucking death, right? So even legit Christians who actually believe in their own religion were literally arrested for being Christians in Ohio. Fucking glue. That was the thing that happened like a year ago, like a year and a half ago, on like around Christmas Eve of not last year but the year before. So 2023 Christmas, homeless people died in Ohio because a pastor was arrested for putting them in his house. That was actually his church, by the way, because a lot of people have like house churches and places, right? Anyway, he let them in, and they all froze to death because of that, because they weren't allowed to do that, and he also wasn't allowed to do it. It's disgusting. Like eventually, you just got to get to the point where people just need to stop like restricting people's ability and right to care about other people. Like even if you don't care, that doesn't fucking matter. Someone like a Christian who cares shouldn't be restricted. First off, First the fucking Amendment, a religious freedom, motherfucker. Like it's legitimately in the Bible to do that, right? Like it's not forcing it on anyone else. It's his fucking property. Like you know what I mean? Like he can't help people with his own property because of things from his own religion. That's how fucked up some states are. I'll be honest, yeah. Like a lot of the thing about like leftism too, like did Silent Hill 2, like the original, right? Not the remake, had 250,000 sales. It succeeded. It was a financial success. But think about that. The remake might even like it's not a flop. It's kind of a bit above like success, right? But think about it that way. It's barely made its investment like what it owed from its investments back. And it has like 10 million sales, something like that, at least 5, right? So it's got at least let's see, four like so like 5, 20 times, up to maybe 40 times the sales in money that the original game made. Actually, 50 times because like the game cost $10 more, so about 50, maybe even like if you count the deluxe version, maybe even 70 times, right? It's got a lot going for it, right? It's barely made its money back, and this is a double A game. So think about it that way, right? Like double A games need to make like 50 times the amount of money that triple A games had to back when you were a kid. Because Silent Hill 2 was the original was a triple A. The remake is a double A. Think about how high the triple A budgets must be. I think, like, because that's really the thing. The reason why they're expanding to this, quote, modern audience is because how the hell do you think they're going to make your money back? You guys aren't enough people. There aren't enough hardcore old gamers to make the money back anymore. That's the real meat and potatoes of why a lot of games are failing. Because the audience that made those games popular isn't big enough anymore. Investments legitimately ruin gaming. Is legitimately like what I'm getting at with this. A lot of corporate investment, not just DEI, but just all of it in general, have fucking made gaming fucking suck. And flop, because even if they succeed, they might not succeed financially. That legitimately is the real problem. Honestly, that's the reason why a lot of the actors are so grouchy in the first place. I hate all. The reason they hate all of everyone is like that is partially because of another thing, right? A lot of people are made fun of for pronouns in bio, right? Now I'm trans. I don't even have them in my bio, right? You want to know why I don't have them in my bio? Because I don't have a job right now. What people forget, pronouns in bio is a corporate thing, not a trans thing. You don't put them in your bio because you're representing yourself. If you're trans, you might, because you just want people to tell you what you identify as, right? But that's about it. They do it in cons too. Like if you're in a furry convention, right? You might have pronouns on your badge because we don't know if you're a dude or a chick because you're wearing a fucking fursuit. So we don't really see you. We see the fucking animal, and we don't know who you are. You might even be squeaking, so we don't even know what you sound like, right? So that's a thing, right? Like some people just prefer certain identities or whatever as well, whatever, right? But when it comes to the majority of pronouns in bio, that started way before it was a trans thing as a corporate thing. It's sort of like the Starbucks badges, right? That's not because they're pro-trans. I guess Starbucks itself is, but that's not why it's there. It's because they're a corporation, and corporations are really weird in general, right? And that's one of the things that they do. You're representing their company, so they want you to be honest about who you are, and that includes putting your pronouns, for whatever reason, out there. I have no fucking idea. When I worked for a independent web development company as a GIS technician. I was a GIS technician at one point in my life, by the way, guys. I had to put pronouns on my Twitter, which also had to have my actual fucking name. Thank God that is not a thing anymore. I'm glad I don't work there anymore, because if my name was associated with what I do, I would fucking be terrified right now. Because I'm a furry porn artist right now, and that's fucking, would be cringe as shit. It's fine, kind of, but, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's Yeah, this is actually the real legit problem. Look at an indie game like Cult of the Lamb. This is far or Wizard with a Gun or Deltarune, right? Deltarune is probably the gayest game you will ever play, with far better and also more trans rep than any of these fucking AAA slaps. Yet everyone who's played it loves the shit out of it because it knows what it is. It's gay as fuck, and you will want to fuck the goat. right? By the end of it, right? Um, but like AAA slop doesn't have that because it doesn't get to just be one thing, right? Like look at Dragon Age Veilguard. The biggest criticism is from a trans YouTuber, right? Like the best criticism is literally from a trans man. And it's because of how bland and basic the trans representation is and how fucking badly the characters are written that it's basically having a transphobic trans rep and saying that trans people should be okay with this literal transphobia in front of their eyes. Why? Why should we be okay with stereotypes that are put in our face and said that that's us? It's not us. It's a stereotype, and it's not even a good stereotype. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, right? If you're gonna do the whole trans or non-binary person has a bad relationship with their mother thing, at least have the mother be a piece of shit and not actually legitimately what every fucking trans person would have wanted. Like, legitimately, name a fucking single trans or non-binary person who would have been upset if their mother acted that way. You cannot, because that doesn't exist. Because any trans person who had a parent that acted that way is fucking glad that they did. Yeah, we do have AI. Also, even before AI, it's not like Blender was or Critic cost money, right? Like all these tools, like people are just learning about. These tools have been around for a while. Like you could have just downloaded Blender and started learning CG art, and they're like were like free mocap tools and shit. You could have learned how to make your own films and games for decades now. People just didn't want to do it, right? That's what it really comes down to. People complained, but they didn't really ever want to fix it because if they did, they would have just fucking did something. Right? Like, this is why like I respect Eric July but not Grums. Because Grums is like he says he's gonna do something, but he never does. Eric July said he was gonna do it. Guess what? I saw him. You can hold it in your hand. You can literally hold proof that Eric July did something in the palm of your hand. You can't do that with Grums. That's why I don't like Grums. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Wizard of Oz the movie isn't really the original either. The original book is literally turn of the century, 1900. We are watching a movie that is like the guy who wrote it probably fought in the Civil fucking War. That's how fucking old that story is, right? And it had movies since 1908, right? So movies of Wizard of Oz were made in 1908. That's an old ass fucking movie. I didn't even know movies were that old, right? That's how fucking old it is. I didn't even know movies got that old because there's so fucking few from that time period. Like this is like Nosferatu and that fucking half of a Frankenstein movie old. Just so we're putting it out there. That is older than that half Frankenstein movie that only half of it even exists anymore because the other half was destroyed by how fucking old it is. Now, obviously, the one most people know is a remake from the 30s, right? 1939's MGM classic is not the same movie; it's a remake, right? But there was a movie as old as 1908, and a trilogy of movies even later in the 1920s. And in 1906, there was actually a play, which is what the first movie was based off. Actually, the first movie was more of a videotape play than an actual movie, to be fair. To be fair, it was more they taped and filmed the play that they already did in 1906 and 1908. It wasn't like its own legit thing. That was the 1920s and the 30s and 1939 MGM classic. But there was, in fact, a film in 1908. But yeah, it's 125 years old, basically, is the Wizard of Oz book. I agree. To be fair, that was what I liked about old YouTube. I don't really hate Eric July. I hate a lot of the people he orbits, obviously. I don't really like a lot of the anti-woke crowd, mainly because I feel like they aren't themselves. It's not even people say grift. I just say they're fake, right? Because the quartering legit should just be playing Magic the Gathering and not caring that he's banned from tournaments and shit. And enjoying the claw machine again. Those were the good days of the quarter. Believe it or not, there were good days of the quartering, and those were them. When he was just enjoying himself. Now he's a fat fucking loser that's depressed all the time. And I joke that he's a cuck that I fucked his wife because legitimately he pissed himself a couple years ago. And his wife was gone out for pizza suspiciously long, right? I don't know. He might actually be a cuck. I'm just joking, obviously. This is just for funsies. But he might actually have been fucked. It wasn't by me or Destiny. I just joke and say it was me or Destiny. Me because I live in Wisconsin, and Destiny because of the recent leaks. I just find it funny as fuck to say that. But yeah, also, obviously, it's saying it, not actually thinking it. Obviously, the quartering... definitely not really wanting to cuck him. First off, his wife is she's okay, right? She's not hot, but she's not ugly either. She's just okay, right? Second, I'm gay as fuck. I'm not gonna fuck her anyway. If anything, I would. But I'm not gonna fuck quartering either because he's also ugly. But if he shaved and like lost about 50 pounds, maybe. He's not that ugly. Like the thing is, ugliness, unless it's like a very bad disease, any form of ugliness you can change in about 6 months. You can fix ugliness in 6 months, no matter who you fucking are. Anyone can go from ugly to good looking in 6 months. It doesn't take that fucking long. You start exercising, you eat a little better, and you take care of your hygiene more, you get from ugly to good looking in 6 months or less every single time. It legitimately is extremely easy. Anyone can do it. It's not. Oh, not easy. Anyone can do it. It's not easy. It's the same with drawing. It's not easy to draw, but anyone can learn to draw. If you are willing to put the time and effort and the investment and the fun, like PewDiePie did, you can learn that. How PewDiePie learned to draw in about a month. That's how long it actually takes if you enjoy it. But in order to enjoy it, you have to do it. In order to do it, you have to do it. And in order to do it, you have to do it. In order to have to do it, you have to do it. And then after doing it enough, you start getting this spark of this twinkle in your eye of fun. And that's when you get good. That's when you get good at drawing, when you enjoy it. Sculpting too, anything like that. You have to enjoy creating to be a good creator. That's why there was this old fucking Unity tutorial. But it's basically create the game you want to make because if not even you like what you're making, how dare you expect other people to? Is like legitimately, like he legitimately like said it as like a how dare you, right? But it's true. If you don't even like what you're making, why the fuck are you making it, right? And that's legitimately like the real meat and potatoes of why like whenever like people like on Netflix said they don't really watch the show or whatever, it always failed. Notice how the first time it succeeded, it was when they said they loved it. It's because people enjoyed One Piece that worked on One Piece Netflix. That One Piece Netflix was good in the first fucking place, right? Because they had that spark of enjoyment and creativity and the fun juices. And so they had good ideas because of that. You don't do that if you don't like it. That's how it is. If you don't like something, what you make will legitimately not be that good. Well, the thing about it, another thing, right? Indie games, a successful indie game, there's a concept like a friend of mine said. A successful indie game is when you make a game in one day, put it on sale for $1, and get one player. People be like, "What?" No, that is a successful indie game because you've shared your creative vision with one other person, and they enjoyed it enough to pay for it, and you made money. That's a success. And because of how short you've made it, that $1 is a profit. See, this is the thing. Indie games don't need a massive player base like AAA, especially live service AAA do, because they cost so low and they tend to be made with passion. And that passion is a loop, right? It tends to feed in on itself. Like you get that good feedback, you start to enjoy what you did a bit more as well. So you start to do it more because you enjoy that feedback loop. I mean, I like that though. Also, where is Impact on here? Impact is kind of cool with some like that was more like stuff. Also, slave labor graphics. I need to see that. Where's slave labor graphics? That'd be indie somewhere, like indie somewhere around here. Let's see. I don't know like how based he is. He might not have slave labor graphics on here. Impact is more tutorials, so like they probably wouldn't be on here because he's probably like talking about like fiction sellers. But I know slave labor. Oh no, it is. It's lit. It's art house right here. Yeah, I don't know why I looked at indie. I mean, it is also indie, but yeah, slave labor graphics. Fucking god tier company. Maniac, right? I heard of them or Invader Zim. This is where they come from. This is such a fucking banger publisher. Um, yeah, like slave labor graphics. If you're in the West, this is probably like one of my favorite like as a kid of like indie sellers. Let's see if there's any others I recognize. I didn't really read too many comics. It was honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I was never into DC. This is why I don't buy Eric's comics. Is because they're like basically like DC and all that anyway. I was more of a slave labor graphics and like I'm trying to and like Impact obviously that's more for tutorial. Where the fuck else? Obviously, Toye, or not really. That's more like TV. Where's the? Where is it? Not Toei. Shonen Jump, right? More of a big one, to be fair. That's probably that might be over here if I can find it. I don't see it, but maybe it's only in the West, so maybe it won't have them. Although it does seem to have them over here with the manga, but maybe I don't recognize the Shonen Jump like logo too. To be fair, um, but yeah, Shonen Jump is definitely like a big one I grew up with. And yeah, obviously slave labor graphics. But yeah, Norton, yeah, absolutely. North Atlantic, absolutely. Trying to think. I mean, these ones, yeah, but like, I wouldn't recommend these to an adult. These are more like if you have a baby, these are what these are for. Like, it's children's books, obviously, so yeah, duh. But yeah, fuck you. I love how it's like you said, fuck you. Like that's the erotica public. I love how he has erotica here, which is kind of funny, like literal porn magazines. But yeah, like yeah, that's legit. Another thing, right? Like with bureaucracy, so I had to sign up for food stamps, right? They don't get how erotica artist. That's image. So impact. They both have an eye logo anyway. I don't know why I would expect them to be in the major. No, it's image. Um, but yeah, when it comes to like stuff, right? I'm a furry porn artist, right? And I have like that's my job I put on for snaps because I'm kind of broke right now. I'm like, hey, look, I passed for snaps. Can I get them? They don't really get how my business operates, and they're confused. And anytime I explain it to them, they just fucking hang up because they're mad that I talked about the fact that I sell porn. But that's my job, right? So if I try to break up the confusion, they hang up and get angry. But if I don't, they never fucking give me the snaps. So I'm basically doomed to not get the benefits that I qualify for because I do adult work as a job and I'm kind of in a bit of like a fucking rut right now. Partially because of AI, but other reasons as well. Mainly because I was fucking in and out of homelessness, so I really couldn't do a lot of my fucking job in the first fucking place, unfortunately. I'm getting back into that, but I need the fucking food and also the medical insurance that I now lack because I can't afford to buy it myself, so I need to get it some other way, right? Yeah. Relying on government sucks, especially if you aren't like a major like like a major like brick and mortar worker because now you gotta say you have a job because you gotta know where that money's coming from, right? Any dollar you make, even if it's still within their limits, you still gotta say where it comes from. Um, and they don't understand any of this because they don't know how the world works. It's weird because you go like anywhere online, talk to anyone like from any country or anywhere, right? They know how it works. But as soon as you talk to an American bureaucrat, you can talk to people at bars, people in fast food restaurants, book clubs anywhere, and they'll understand. And as soon as it's a government bureaucrat, they have no fucking clue how the world works. I honestly feel like that's part of the reason why the government's so fucking shitty run. They don't know how their citizens get their money and shit because they haven't actually lived a legit life time recently. Like, yeah, I'm doing porn for extra money because it's the best way to make money. Like like why would I work at fast food, and get treated like shit for the same amount of money or less? And still have to get all these things, but I'm drained mentally at the end of the day instead of like enjoying my fucking job. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like the thing is, even when I shit on Grumps, I do still say Grumps and Yandere Dev, like yeah, they're shitty and they will never finish their games. But they do have a purpose. Like Grums and Yandere Dev both inspired people who aren't fucking losers to make the same games, but better than the ideas initially were concepted as, even themselves. Like Yandere Dev, two Russian dudes made his game in 2 months, and Grums' game is getting made by an indie team. Not him. It's not called Ember anymore. It's a different game, but it is getting made. McDizzle talks about it. Looks good. Looks pretty good. A couple dudes. Again. So like, just because I make fun of some people doesn't mean I pretend they don't have a purpose. I'm just gonna be honest and say that their purpose isn't gonna be for them. Wait, let's see. I missed something. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. Like, this is really the thing. Like I feel like this is more of a white pill for Synthetic Man watchers than anything else. Because Synthetic Man legitimately is a fucking toxic piece of shit. Like, this is the guy who'll be like, well, indie games can be woke too. As if people really care that indie games are woke or not. The reason why people care mostly with AAA, I'm gonna be honest, is because it's a monopoly on the industry any fucking way. No one cares that people are gay. I mean, at least most people don't, right? Like, there may be a couple. I mean, hell, Synthetic Man. This is why, like, there's that disconnect with, like, the woke tier list. That everyone, even on the anti-woke side, kind of is like, this doesn't seem legit because it's got Elden Ring and shit in it, right? The reason why those tier lists have a disconnect is because Synthetic Man sphere of anti-woke is just homophobic and sexist and racist. Most of the anti-woke sphere, they might be one of those things at most, if that, right? Usually it's, even if it is racist or whatever, it's a LARP, right? And they don't actually care, right? But it's done for internet brownie points. Like, a good way to say it, like when Yellow Flash 2, always like pretends to be ass mad about someone saying a trans person's correct pronouns. That's a character he plays. Like, you can legit look at his friend group and tell he's not transphobic. He's just doing that for fucking attention. So you getting mad at him for doing that, first off, is what he wants, because it gets him paid. And second off, is getting mad at a character. Yeah, he's being a piece of shit because his character is literally the villain from Flash. Yes, the petty douchebag villain from Flash is a petty douchebag. You understand the character now that he plays. Yes, he understands that Yellow Flash 2 is a petty fucking loser. That's why he acts like one. Yes, you're getting it. It's a character. It's an act. He plays a role. Just like heel versus babyface plays the role of the person people don't like in wrestling. Like, I get that. Like, I dunk on him as a joke on Twitter sometimes. I understand what he actually meant because I know who he hangs out with enough to know that he doesn't care about pronouns that badly. It's funny as fuck, though. Like, legitimately, that rant is fucking... Like, there are some Spartan remixes of that rant that go fucking hard. That, like, they're meant to make fun of him, but, like, yeah, it's the same with Trigglypuff. Trigglypuff was right about everything, too, just so you know. Az and Trigglypuff are both right about their rants and made fun of because of how they acted. The difference is Trigglypuff was doing that on purpose. I mean, not on purpose. Like, they just blurted it out. And Az is a character. Like, I don't know why, like, people don't realize that, but it's called heel versus babyface. It's a wrestling. Do you know what wrestling is? It's overacting and pretending like things that you don't actually care about are like your biggest beef ever. Like, legitimately, how people don't realize that the guy called heel versus babyface is overacting on purpose is fucking hilarious to me sometimes. Like, I make fun of him for acting retarded, but that doesn't mean I hate him. I call him the Insipid Lipid because it sounds like an evil villain wrestling name, right? Like, people think, yeah, he's fat, and I make fun of him for it, he's kind of has dumb fucking arguments with his character, and I make fun of him for his character, but I do also recognize that it is a character that he plays pretty much purely for laughs. I understand what he does and why he does it, which is why I make fun of him in more tasteful ways that go with the wrestling theme, like Insipid Lipid and stuff, right? Because it sounds funny. It's like that's like a villainous wrestling name, like the Insipid Lipid, right? Like just saying it in like a evil accent, Insipid Lipid, right? Like it sounds like a heel in a wrestling thing, right? Like he's the guy everyone hates that is just really overacting and shit. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. I don't know. Anyone doesn't get that when like he's literally like a far more reasonable person on their July stream. But I do love seeing it from both sides of Twitter of people who think Az is 100% serious and not just playing a character. Like he doesn't know the game sucks. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying like the enraged fat guy twirling his arms like he's Straight Lee Puff. Pretty much verbatim the movements that she made too, is a character. The pronoun rant was a joke. So yeah, you are laughing at it. That is the point. It was a joke. Like, I always find it funny that people have to explain what character personas are on the internet when I'm a fucking furry and I'm explaining it to anime weeb icon people and other furries. Like, you are legitimately a weeb, a lolicon, and a furry, and you don't understand what the fuck a LARP is online. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, how do these people think that character portrayals are real? Fucking, like, these people would be like, AVGN is a piece of shit because he just has poop humor. Like, yeah, but then they use the word James Rolfe instead of AVGN because they don't understand that AVGN is a character and James Rolfe is the actual person, and they have two completely different personalities because AVGN is a character that James Rolfe plays out, and James Rolfe is the actual person. Or Doug Walker and Nostalgia Critic and the 5-second movie guy and another character he plays. I forget like the other character he usually plays, but those are like characters, right? Dr. Insano, the Spoony one and Noah Antweiler. Dr. Insano is Noah Antweiler. Sadly, we found out that Dr. Insano is the actual, real, legit Noah Antweiler. That was fucking wild. But yeah, like a lot of the Channel Awesome crowd, again, old internet, right, are playing characters, right? And then, like Jew Warrior, right, was always like a nice guy, and then it turns out he's a pedophile piece of shit. Jew Wario we're not nice to because Jew Wario is a piece of fucking garbage that should never see the light of day, and thankfully is dead. He should have died a long time ago. Rest in pieces, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Jew Wario, you should have died a long time ago. Honestly, we would have been better off if you were never born. You were never that funny anyway. Sorry. Well, like, legitimately, some of these guys are cool as fuck. IRL or in character. And some of these guys are just legitimately the most selfish, disgusting pieces of shit you've ever seen. And Jew Warrior is that person. Jew Warrior is a fucking obnoxious piece of shit on camera. And he is a piss sing his grave His gravestone is a universal bathroom. This guy is a pedophile who raped his co-workers, including Jesu Otaku, groomed the fuck out of him. And yeah, he's a man now. Partially, I don't know how much of it is due to the grooming and the rape, but Jesu Otaku transitioned into a man. That's a thing that happened after working with that kind of crowd. Well, not really that kind of crowd. It was mainly just one person. But yeah, fuck you, Jew Oreo. Like, legitimately, from every corner and every crevice of my heart and soul and body and everything, die in hell. Like, just double die. Burn in hell for eternity and then die again. And then don't exist anymore. You are that much of a fucking piece of shit. I just fucking hate every fiber of your being. Insult. Fuck you. But yeah, that guy actually raped someone. So like there's a legitimate reason to be that angry. That was partially a character as a joke and stuff. Like just like when I say like getting anally raped on jail on Twitter, it's a joke from the Boondocks. Like the only person I really think should do that I say that like specifically is Eric Adams, and that's just because it would be fitting for how fucking shitty, how much he fucked New York City up, right? But otherwise, it's a joke because, like, getting anally raped in jail is a joke from the Boondocks, because that was what everyone, especially Tom DeWaw, feared most about prison, is getting anally raped in jail. Yeah. So anyway, this was a good video, right? Like Eric July, I'm mid on him, right? Like sometimes his videos are hits, sometimes they're mid, right? But ultimately, what really matters is that he made his comic and he didn't scam his audience out of money. Because there are people in the anti-woke sphere that did. Smash JT, Endymion, and Grums are a sphere I don't like. And the reason why is IRL stuff, not the fucking anti-woke activism. Like, yeah, I'm disagreeing with them a lot on the anti-wokeism too, but hey, look, I don't really shit on Madame Savvy, and she's in that sphere too. The reason why is Madame Savvy didn't fucking steal from people. What did Madame Savvy do? Be a little entertaining and sometimes annoy me with agreeing with shitty takes that she doesn't have to agree with. But other than that, like, why do I fucking care? Like, that's the thing, right? Legitimately, eventually you get to the point where you realize you're just disagreeing with someone on an opinion on the internet. And you're just doing that. And that's all it is, right? And then some people, it legitimately is, they're horrible people, right? Like Kotaku, I don't think anyone in Kotaku is a good person. I don't think Grums is a good person. I don't think Smash JT or Endymion particularly are good people. That doesn't mean I think everyone in the anti-woke sphere is bad or everyone in the woke sphere is bad. It just means these particular individuals I don't think are good people. And I feel like that's a legitimate thing we can say. You can disagree with some people opinion and disagree with some people as people. And those have to be two different layers. And it has to be based, the people who are bad people are things they did, and things that are disagreements on opinions are things they said, right? So things people did is when I disagree with them as a person, right? Because now you've done something that caused harm, like stealing from your fans causes harm, right? Like, being wrong on an opinion doesn't cause harm. I mean, I guess it can, but like, legitimately, you're just wrong. You're not lying. You're not doing it maliciously. Like, that's the thing, right? Wrong isn't lying. It's being wrong, right? Like, a good way to say it, right? If you are incorrect on your assumption about something, you are just wrong about that thing. You aren't a bad person because you're incorrect opinion, right? That's a problem, like a lot of the internet has also said. We've associated being wrong on an opinion, especially about entertainment, a literal thing that has no objective value in the first place, right? Like, there's no like, it's not like soda, right? Soda is liquid poison objectively, right? Like, you can value soda as bad from what it's made out of, right? And say this is bad for you. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. But people could say, I like it anyway, so I'm gonna drink that shit. That's fine. It's a wrong opinion, but it's still an opinion, right? Now, telling someone, selling someone Pepsi as a miracle cure is wrong. Now, I said Pepsi. It's actually Coke that did it, and they did it in the fucking 50s, and they should be ashamed of themselves for that. Because that was fucking gross. Oh, it was 60s, not 50s. But anyway, they legit sold Coca-Cola as a miracle drug, as if it was like what literal con men do, snake oil salesmen. They did that with Coca-Cola. Literal liquid poison. That was fucked up, wasn't it? And I wonder if like part of the reason why society's fucked up is partially because of that shit too. You know what I mean? Like, soda is nutrition. Nutrition also fucks up like your brain chemistry if it's fucked up enough, right? So bad nutrition, especially poisonous nutrition, can really fuck up your mental development. So it might have actually fucked up a lot of people with that very bad misinformation. That was a lie. Because it's not an opinion there. Like, I'm going to drink this shit anyway is an opinion, right? I don't feel like it's that bad for me is an opinion. This thing will cure you of cancer or whatever it was, right? And you will feel better. That's a legitimately false statement, deceptionally used to sell you liquid poison. It is evil, right? That's the thing. I disagree with Coca-Cola and all that on a conceptual, like, who they are as a person level. Whereas if someone says, I think this video game is ass or good, and I disagree, that's an opinion level. And I feel like we need to get back at that too, right? You can disagree with certain things and still agree that it's just an opinion that you're disagreeing on and not like blatant misinformation. You just might be wrong or right on something and not know it. Or like it might just be an opinionated topic, right? Like, video game quality is an opinionated topic. Saying you don't think soda is that bad for you is an opinion that is wrong, but it's still an opinion, right? So you're incorrect on that, but it's not like you're blatantly lying. You're not doing it to give false information. You're doing it because you aren't unhealthy and you're drinking soda and you're like wondering what all the hubbub is about. Those are two completely different things, right? And the thing about being wrong is you can change someone who's wrong's mind eventually, right? You can't convince a liar that they're wrong because the liar isn't acting in good faith because they're lying. And lying isn't an act of good faith. So yeah, just keep that honestly in mind just in general. People who are willing to lie to you, especially when there's billions of dollars at stake of their lies, are not good people. And the reason they're lying to you is probably for very malicious reasons. Right? Now, people who lie to you are like white lies, right? Like, the point of the lie is, that they, like when someone says your drawing is better than it is, right? It's a very common white lie parents tell their kids, right? The reason why that's not harmful is because that's, like, they're a kid. Like, they're not going to judge you on, like, for adult standards. They're just going to be, it's cute, because you're their kid, right? Yeah, it kind of is a lie, but who the fuck cares? It's your fucking parents, and they're showing you the love you so fucking care about. It's not really a lie either, because, they're hyping it up a lot more than they would if you were an adult. But also, the point is that they love you, and what you make is good enough for them, right? So there we go. It's not even really a lie. It's more, like, they're hyping it up a bit more. It's overhyping the truth, really, more than a white.
That's really what most white lies are. Also, it's not even really a lie, it's overhyping the truth. Like, you're just overselling something is most white lies, because the entire point of a white lie is it comes from love, and the point is to make you feel better. You don't really feel better if it doesn't come from the right place. Obviously, it has to come from love. And if you love someone, it's not fully a lie to say, it's better or whatever, because part of the truth that isn't said but is true is what actually is important in that conversation, which is that you are the one making it because you're their kid, and they love you no matter what. So it doesn't matter that that drawing doesn't look amazing, because they love you. They love it because you made it, right? Because that's really what it comes down to. Real family, you get how they talk. It's a white lie in that they don't really care that much about the drawing. They care that you enjoyed making it. So they don't care about the drawing. They care about you, right? That's a white lie, right? They care about you more than the thing they're saying. And so the fact that you are enjoying something matters more to them than the thing itself. That's what a white lie really is. Which is why they're harmless, right? A harmful lie is when it's accusationary, which is what the Bible is against, by the way. If you look at the Bible, it says, bear false witness against thy neighbor. That means to lie in order to get someone in trouble or stir up shit. Basically, a lie that's designed out of hatred to cause harm is bear witness against thy neighbor. That is the commandment in the Bible. So it's not lying as in help to benefit someone or whatever. It's lying as in deliberately misleading or causing harm to them, right? And again, remember, being wrong isn't lying. Lying is lying. Like a good way to say it, you might be like, but they say they know and they don't know. If they say they know and they don't know, they think they know. So they don't know that they don't know. So it's still, to them, a true thing. So it's not a lie, right? I feel like I have to, like the fact that I have to explain the difference between lying and speaking falsehoods, and also like white lies and harsh and like actual harmful lies is in 2025 is weird when we have psychological studies that prove everything I'm talking about. In religious testimony historically about why it's okay to do one and not the other. But yeah, apparently I have to still in 2025 talk about literal, we have religions that talk about this topics. But yeah, anyway, hour-long video of a video that's pretty decent. It's only like 7 minutes long. I have a lot to say. I do like Eric July though. I don't really like most of the anti-woke sphere. I like Eric July, a little bit of V. It's funny. I like Eric July, V, and Stuttering Craig. What do all of those have in common? They've made things recently, right? Like Stuttering Craig, obviously he made he helped make the AVGN video game and Texting of the Bread. Banger, by the way. I don't think you could play it anymore without without like some form of emulator, but Texas of the Bread was great. And then of course you also have the AVGN video game. I think he only did it with the first one because I think he actually left the company before the second one was made. But I'm pretty sure like they did handle the first game, right? While he was still at Screwtech, and he, as the head of Screwtech, he was like part of that project is one thing, right? Anyway, he also has like done other things with side scrolls and stuff, right? Well, that's the thing. Like him or hate him, Stuttering Craig kept his promises, right? Like he might like be charging whatever. I don't really care. I don't have to pay that fee, right? And I don't really care about voting, anyway in the game. Like I do that on Steam. Like for me, the only Game Award show that matters is fucking Steam anyway. All of these really, like all of the shows are just circle jerks to either hype you up for something or pat themselves on the back. That's all they ever are or ever were. Acting like they were ever anything else is like really like the reason why they have any other consequences in the first place. The entire point is that they they're just fun little get-togethers where everyone hypes each other up and has fun and whatever, right? It's a circle jerk, yeah, but it's a fun little circle jerk, right? People watch the Game Awards knowing that Hideo Kojima's dick will be sucked. We know that. We've known that every single year now. We still watch it because we like watching Hideo Kojima get his dick sucked. You know what I mean? Right? Hey, look, Jeff Keighley sucks a mad Hideo Kojima dick. I'm just gonna say that, like right now, he sucks that dick really well. We're fine with that. If we weren't, it wouldn't still be popular this long, right? But yeah, that's all it really is. So, like, my thing is, I don't really care if like an award show, awards games, I don't really care that much about because hey, look, it's an award show. I'm there for the show. If my opinions are validated, I don't fucking care, right? Like, hey, I was right. Balatro was a cool game. I was right. Black Myth Wukong had some cool things about it. I was right. Astro Boy looked fun. Okay, so, right, because I play like a general list of games, I don't I don't really have a lot of the problems people do with the Game Awards because I'm like, hey, I like that, or hey, I like that, or hey, that one looked a little weird, right? But like ultimately, usually like what wins, I'm fine with like anything, right? And the Game of the Year award really like is just like the most circle jerk game, right? Now sometimes that game is good. Case in point, Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, honestly Astrobot, right? Now with Last of Us 2, it was just they had to suck someone's dick at Sony. And it turned out to be Neil Druckmann's turn that time, because they have to suck Hideo Kojima's dick and someone at Sony's cock, regardless. That is how the Game Awards have to go. So they have to suck two cocks at any game show, right? And so with Astrobot, like, hey, look, that dick sucking was deserved. With Last of Us 2, that dick sucking really wasn't deserved so much, right? But hey, they sucked it anyway. It was kind of mid. It was definitely not as good as the Hideo Kojima dick sucking earlier that year. But hey, they sucked that dick as well as they could. I am fine with it. I know what those award shows are about. So hey, if Craig wants his own and he wants to charge people for it, I don't fucking care. Hey, it's happening, right? Guess what? You can't say that about Grum's shit. That's the thing. I don't like Grum's because he says stuff and it doesn't happen, and he doesn't have like, oh, he was abused or whatever as an excuse, right? Like, you take away his internet time, he can work on his game and finish it in the amount of time that he spends on Twitter in a month. Like, legitimately, it is a month's worth of work that he has to do, right? That's the real, like, meat and potatoes of why his vertical slice is so fucking, like, dog shit that he hasn't finished it yet. It's not the full game. Obviously, $600,000 is not a full MMO, right? He just has to make the vertical slice demo. Do you know how bad this is that he spent 8 years and hasn't even finished that? So a vertical slice demo, for those who are wondering, right, is the core gameplay and like a bit of a fully functional level design, right? So he has one like level, right, and the core gameplay. It's basically like most demos, right? Like you play like the Resident Evil 3 remake demo, right? Like it's the best part of the game too. Everyone like hates that the game is all downhill from there, right? Or never uphill from there at least, right? And it's true. Like it is never uphill from the demo. You've played the demo, you've played the game, right? Like outside of not having a Magnum, I guess. But at the same time, right? That game, hey, it's good, right? but also, also it it's very short. It's 5 minutes long, right? And that's the point. These aren't that long. You just like obviously his is gonna be longer because he wants to make a vertical slice of an MMO, so the test like level has to be bigger, right? It also has to have more interactivity. Like the thing is, people are like talking about the graphics. The graphics are funny to make fun of because of the sorry state it's in, but a vertical slice, so like it actually has less than a full demo. The thing is, he doesn't need the animation and stuff, right? So he doesn't really need that fucking like whatever like graphics. He just like go away say it right. The initial anime assets that he still hasn't put in, by the way, he still hasn't put them in. But those anime assets that were made 3 years ago, that he talked about as if they were made a couple months ago, those aren't necessary for the vertical slice. Like the ugly as sin, chinless boy wonder and his friend's pink-haired girlfriend that he has in the game could have been fine, right? Like that's not they're representative of the sorry state, right? Because it's funny as fuck to talk about how he's a chinless dude, but that's not the problem, right? He could have still been a chinless dude. No one fucking cares about that really, except to make fun of how pathetic it is, right? The point of why it's bad is this. It's been 8 years and he hasn't done the month of work he needs to do. Right? Like if Eric July set this up, right? Because Eric July also, set up an Indiegogo, right? Or whatever it was, right? Eric July, how long did it take Eric July to finish ISOM? Oh, right, within the time frame you set up. And finish ISOM, not like, so a vertical slice would basically, of like a comic, right? Would basically be like the character design and like name. Right? Like now, obviously with a game, there's a lot more than that, but like for a comic, it's literally like that simple. Like concept of the story, a character design, and the name. Now, actually, I finished that a long time ago. Right? And he finished his comic a long time ago, even. Like it's on like what, 3 issues now? That's my problem with Grums. Eric July got 3 full issues out, and even like some issues for his friends, Yellow Flash and his other friends, right? Like I forget the 2 girls' names, but them, right? They've got several comics out now, at least 5, probably even 6. I haven't been paying attention honestly, but when they've got more than you remember them promising a year later, that's good, right? More than promised is out already is always good. And they do. So, I'll be honest. There's your lie. A lot cooler than Grums. I really wish people would hype Eric July and V up more for, like, heroes of the anti-woke sphere than Grums. Because Eric July actually did the shit he promised. Same with V, right? V, you can play his game right now. I always call that. Funny enough, I need to actually look up what V's game is called again. I'm not interested in it. I'm just saying that he made it, and that's good. That's the point, right? Making the game is what he needs to do. It's just a vertical slice demo too. He was so close to finishing it too, and then he restarted it. Who the fuck restarts a vertical slice demo because it's made fun of for the graphics? You're not selling the graphics, you're selling the gameplay, and at this point I feel like Grums doesn't even know what the fuck he's supposed to do. Like, it's not that hard, dude. Just finish the fucking gameplay features you were missing, for fuck's sake. It's like I said, it would have taken 1 month. It's been 8 years. 8 years on this extremely basic concept. He should have finished fucking 7 years and 11 months ago. Anyway, see ya.